Hello. Zach Bulls here and Andrew Sartori. If you don't know who we are the co-creators and co-founders of Gay Man Thriving. And we are so happy to be here with you today, joining you live from our beautiful home in California, wanting to come on and share a little bit of behind the scenes, especially today, talking about how we navigate conflicts and misunderstandings in a long-term relationship. I know a lot of gay men that I work with think the hardest part is meeting a guy and the dating process. And then once we find the right guy, then everything just falls into place and we ride off into the sunset together. But in fact, there's quite a lot of important skills and tools that are important for relationships to thrive. I know many gay men kind of bail at the first sign of turbulence. And I just want to let you know that I've never been aware of a relationship ever that is just all unicorns and rainbows. There's going to be conflicts, there's going to be misunderstandings, there's going to be misinterpretations in relationships, especially with someone you're spending a lot of time with. And today we want to just kind of pull back the curtain and help you all see that our relationship is not perfect. It's better than it's ever been, and I love that we have done so much work as individuals and as a couple to get to where we are today. But yeah, we're going to share a little bit about how things used to be and even talk a little bit about a conflict that we had today.
Yeah, it kind of surprised me that we had a conflict come up today, and I'm really proud of us and how we handled it and addressed it, and I'm like, that was overall a joyful experience for me. I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
And we want these videos to be helpful for you because we know that relationships, mastering relationships takes a lot of personal mastery. It takes a lot of mastery of one's own mind, mastery of your energy, and so we hope by sharing what has worked for us, and we've also coached hundreds of clients privately, one-on-one. We've served thousands of guys, and we know what works. Our clients get married, they end up in the best relationships they've ever had before, they enjoy the best dates they've ever had in their entire lives, and this is what we want for you. We want every gay man to enjoy the richest, most satisfying, enjoyable, peaceful, and joyful relationships imaginable.
Absolutely. That's our purpose and mission here at Gay Man Thriving, is to help gay men find love and create the type of satisfying, fulfilling, thriving lives and relationships like my husband and I share. But as I mentioned before, it hasn't always been so smooth. And while today's conflict was resolved relatively quickly and relatively smoothly, in the past, things could get escalated pretty quick, and there were a lot of energetic dynamics that we hadn't faced and addressed and worked on that really caused us to be much more affected by each other's energy. And so when we talk about energy, we're not talking about being caffeinated. We're talking about your overall core energetic makeup, which is the most important force. Everything is energy. And when I think about energy, I'm talking about your mindsets, your perspectives, your beliefs that create your emotions, that fuel your actions, that create your results. So when it comes to your energetic frequency, it's really determined by what you're currently thinking and believing. And we all have preconditioned programming from childhood, from adolescence, from growing up, feeling different, to all the things that we've experienced and accumulated over our lifetimes shapes our current belief system. And that's why in the work that we do, the very beginning, the foundational piece is really getting underneath this past programming so that we can be less reactive and more responsive. So we can be less likely to get triggered and frustrated or feel like a victim or isolate or people please. When we get underneath what's causing that, we can break out of these patterns and behaviors and create more peace and harmony and fulfillment and reciprocation in relationships. And so, yeah, would you like to share a little bit about kind of what your experience was like today? And or should we talk about where we were and like how things used to be?
I think you could talk a little bit about where we were.
Yeah. So our relationship has, as I mentioned before, come such a long way, and I'm so proud of the men that we are today. Um, it's one thing to have awareness of the patterns and the problems, and it's one thing to have awareness of the tools and the solutions, but it's another thing to put them into practice. And I think Andrew and I, from the get-go, have been very aware of our energy and very aware of, we've been doing personal growth for so long, working with coaches and mentors ourselves. Like, we've known how we should be handling things, but I think we have come a long way in being able to hold a higher energetic frequency. But early on in our relationship, it's something we didn't always talk about, but now that we're on the other side, it's easier to look back and see where there was a lot of codependency in our relationship. There was a lot of energetics that was causing a lot of friction. And I don't want to speak for you, but would you like to talk a little bit about what your energy was like and some of the problems that caused you early on?
Well, so first I want to share some context because we have been in some challenging situations that most couples would have not survived.
This is true.
It's like we created like the world's biggest obstacle training ground for relationships. The odds in many ways, it could look like we're stacked against us because of the environment we were in. So back in 2018, I invited Zach to quit his job and to support me in my health coaching business. And Zach had no experience as a coach, and I was like, oh, and you would be a great coach, honey. And because I saw it, like, he has such an amazing presence. Like, that's what drew me to him. Just when he's present and just authentic, it's like, oh my gosh, it just like turns me on so much. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he would be such a great coach. And Zach's like, what? What's a coach? Oh, I don't have to work at my job anymore? Okay, I'll become a coach. And this was back in like 2017, so a long time ago, 7 years ago. And we did not have a lot of money. And I went all in trying to launch this business and lost a lot of money and ended up in tons of debt. And then all of a sudden we were both just in debt and stressed out. We knew we needed to make money. And so an environment like that where you've got like two people that don't know how the bills are going to get paid, and it's like, it looks like my well-being is dependent on him making money, and his well-being is dependent on me making money, and how are we saving money or spending it. It just was like a recipe for so much challenges to unfold. And we got to experience that in different ways as we grew the Gay Man Thriving business, and we both had different strengths and we had lots of challenges. Like, I would think we should do something, Zach would think, no, let's do something else.
Yeah. And
so I'm saying this to give us credit, because what we were in was not what most couples go through. Right. When you're dating people, you're probably not gonna become a business partner with them, like, and go all in business together like 3 or 4 months after you've met them.
Yeah. One thing that, it was, I wasn't sure where you were going with kind of the perfect storm you were describing, but it's true. Really early on in our relationship, it's like we were living together, working together, sleeping together, eating together, exercising together. I remember, Andrew, you wanted me to have the same sleep schedule as you. You wanted me to wake up the same time as you. And yeah, we both have really big personalities, and we're not always going to see things the same way. But when we would have disagreements, it was a disaster, because we both have very different communication styles. We both see and interpret things very, very differently. And I come from a home where screaming across the house at each other and, yelling and, a lot of drama was just kind of a normal everyday thing, because 5 minutes later we would just be saying I love you and I'm sorry, and we all knew like everything was good. It was just kind of the way my emotional family always was, and that was not the case for this man right here, who would be extremely triggered and have PTSD symptoms. Where I remember one time we were fighting over logo colors, and I was just so sure that that was a horrible selection what Angel wanted to pick out, and I remember just being kind of loud about it, and it's just like we can't, but I remember looking over and he was trembling and shaking like an abused animal, and I didn't understand how he couldn't see that, I still loved him and I'm still committed to him, and that it really wasn't personal. But we had so much to learn in terms of communication styles and in terms of taking responsibility for our own energy. And, whether we were fighting over who got the large projector when we were doing conferences and, as we were splitting up the room to make different presentations, or who got to drive the nicer car for the day, or who had more than their fair share of the meatloaf. It just seemed like there were so many things that, where we're just constantly with each other, there was just so much more room for friction. And I love that today things are so different. We just recently took a vacation to Hawaii for 10 days, and it was kind of a similar situation where we were spending a lot of time together every day, every moment. And I love that, there were situations where, I was feeling triggered about things, you were feeling triggered about things, but rather than letting it blow up and escalate as it had in the past, we're able to use conscious communication skills and tools. We're able to really own our energy, which, allows us to, instead of reacting, practice emotional intelligence. And when I was feeling triggered at different times, I knew that it was not going to do anyone any favors for me to get loud and react and express my anger or frustration or blame, because that's not going to solve anything. When we're both down in a low frequency, nothing good is going to come out of it. And so we've done enough work on ourselves with our daily practices, with working with coaches and mentors, with really just being with each other and seeing each other and wanting to work through these challenges, able to, instead of reacting, take a breath, really check in with ourselves, ask, what's going on with me? How am I feeling? What am I making this situation mean? And what do I want in this situation? Because it's never to argue. It's never to blame someone else. It's never to, get in a fight. The old version of me probably did want to be right, because that energetic pattern was big for me. But I've learned how to step back and see things more objectively and own my side of the street. And then if there's something that needs to be expressed, we communicate it with one another. And that's similar to what happened today. We had a kind of a brief conversation this morning, and there were some misunderstandings. And while I was at the gym, I got some messages from Andrew where he was communicating with me how he felt, from, I would say, a pretty responsible place, ownership of his feelings, and telling me how he felt when I did or said certain things, but not making me responsible for how he felt. Because that's a big mistake that I think a lot of people make, is telling someone, you make me feel angry, you make me frustrated, you don't appreciate me, you don't listen to me, you don't love me enough, you don't touch me where I want to be touched, you don't clean up after yourself. When we come across this way, people are instantly going to be energetically triggered, unless we've just done so much work where we're just kind of like in monk energetic status and we can just look someone in the eyes while they're yelling at us. But when you communicate from this energy of blaming and frustration and judgment, it's going to trigger that same energetic frequency in that other person. And what are they going to do? They're going to get defensive, and they're going to start trying to come up with reasons why they're right and you're wrong, and both of our energies just get sucked down to a low frequency. And this is really the most common pattern that we see amongst gay men as they engage in relationships. And unfortunately, a lot of times, the first or second time this happens, what happens? We bail, and we're just kind of dropping what could be resolved, what could be worked through, what could be a really beautiful connection, because we don't know how to handle conflict, because we don't know how to handle misunderstandings. And that's why when you're able to learn how to navigate through these things, and instead of telling you make me feel this way, communicating that I feel sad and I feel anxious when you say this to me. And the difference is I'm owning that this is how I feel. And while someone could argue all day about you make me feel this way, well, no, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. If I say I feel this way when you say this thing, it's a lot harder for someone, unless they're just a complete narcissist and trying to gaslight you and just unavailable to own their feelings or own, take responsibility for their part or be willing to hear you. It's much more likely for them to be able to see you and actually hear what you're saying when you're able to communicate from this more elevated manner. I'll pause there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this morning, and it was an interesting scenario. Like, there were time constraints, like we were both kind of in a rush.
Yeah.
And it's like food had to be cooked, errands needed to be ran by a certain amount of time. And I remember, like, Zach on the phone asking, like, how are you feeling? And I could tell I was feeling angry. And I'm also conscious enough to know that if I'm feeling angry, it's my stuff. I know I'm responsible for my thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. I believe it's possible for me to have unshakable inner peace no matter what anyone in my life does or says. And so I knew that I was not feeling peaceful.
Yeah, I saw Andrew send me a text message that seemed like it was blaming, and then a few seconds later he deleted it, and I could tell right away that something was off.
I was like, I did not send this text message from a really loving energy, so I'm gonna unsend it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that bad at all. But anyways.
Yeah, but it was.
So because when Zach asked me, well, how are you feeling? I at first I was like, I'm fine. I'm moving on. And then I was like, no, I'm just gonna tell him exactly how I'm feeling. And I'm like, I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling frustrated that this happened and that did not feel good for me. And then I just said, that's how I'm feeling. And then I just went on, and then I was driving somewhere else in the car, and I was processing my own emotions on my own. I was like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. What I do is I leave I'm journaling constantly. I was leaving voice to text notes in my own online note journal on my phone. And I was like, I'm feeling this way, this is what's happening in my mind. Okay, I see where I'm giving my power away, I see where I'm not taking full responsibility for myself, and I'm wanting Zach to be more responsible for me. And so I'm like taking full ownership and responsibility for my own feelings. And eventually I realized, like, okay, I could tell my body still feels a little amped up, and I don't feel completely cooled down, but I actually know everything's perfect, everything's fine. I know I love Zach, I know he loves me. I know Zach's now feeling a little sad based on some text that he sent me. I'm gonna let him deal with his emotions.
Yep.
Like, he was calling me and I'm like, I don't want to miss any turns. I don't really want to receive this call right now. He can deal with his own emotions. I trust him to be an amazing adult and process his own stuff too. And and it ended up being so beautiful. And then I ended up getting to see him at a mutual location later that we both ended up going to, and it was just so lovely to see you there.
Yeah, because we're infinitely complex beings, and we all have different energetic frequencies. This is at the foundation of the work that I do with my clients, is really help them understand their unique core energy and the different patterns that we can fall into based on our programming and our this unique energetic makeup. And I could see where this morning, there were parts of me that wasn't fully paying attention when Andrew was trying to communicate some of his concerns. And, I was half awake and just trying to kind of get out the door myself. And we kind of made an agreement. And, I could tell Andrew was not super happy with it, but, I wasn't hearing like super clearly like a really like clear request, like, hey, I can't do this, please do this for me. And so I just kind of brushed it off like, okay, he'll figure it out, and went and did my own thing. And that's when I was receiving these text messages and these voice notes where Andrew was telling me basically what had upset him, and telling me how he was feeling based on my actions and how I handled it. And and it for a minute it triggered just some guilt and some shame, thinking, wow, maybe I wasn't as present with Andrew as I would have liked to have been. Maybe there was that old selfish version of me that wanted best case scenario for me, where he went and ran some errands, for both of us, and maybe I hadn't been considerate enough. And so I had to look within and just own where that might be coming from, and see the opportunity for me to take ownership for that. And and I told Andrew that I didn't fully understand the situation, and I apologized if I didn't hear him, and just really owned that I can't go back and change what happened, but if I could, I would, now that I have more information. And I thanked him for sharing how he was feeling, because when I got those messages at first, my immediate stress response wanted me to defend myself and prove to him that he was wrong. And I'm really proud of myself for recognizing that that was happening, and instead listening to what he was telling me, reading his messages and listening to his words, and really trying to understand his perspective. You see, early on in our relationship, that is not something I would have done. That's not something I would have ever even thought to do. And over time, and doing the deep, individual work we've done, and work as a couple, I've really learned that there are more than one ways to view situations. And a lot of times, people are going to have different perspectives and different interpretations. It doesn't make anybody right or wrong or good or bad. It's just opening ourselves up to a different perspective. And when I did that, I opened myself up from a closed off defensive energy to being able to hear him, because he wasn't telling me, you made me feel this way and you did this and you did that. He was telling me how he felt sad because he didn't feel like we were like really working as a team this morning. And that, wasn't fun for me to hear. It wasn't like good news, but it was important information. And I can see where he's coming from based on when I kind of review the situation. And I can really clearly understand and empathize with why Andrew would feel a little let down about the situation. And I'm just so proud that conflicts can really turn into opportunities for growth when we have the right tools and skills to learn from them. And this is not something that we're taught in school. This is not something that's modeled for us very well in society, in a dog-eat-dog world where everyone's out for themselves. But this is at the core of the work that we do. It's learning how to get underneath what would cause us to kind of instinctively react in most likely a lower frequency, and instead be able to take a pause, take a step back, and evaluate the situation from a more objective perspective. And now that we have gone through this and talked about it, I feel even closer to this amazing man, because I see him even more clearly. I can understand him even more clearly. And my friends, this is really at the core of what keeps the newness and the spark and the excitement and the novelty that really fuels the eroticism. Yeah, we're going to talk about sex for a second in our relationship. And I'm not saying that we have to, it's not about the fighting. It's about willing to see our partners that we think we already know so well, willing to take a closer look and see who they are becoming and who they are evolving, because the only constant is change. And if you're expecting your partner to be the person they were the day you first met, you're setting yourself up for a lot of disappointment and a lot of denial, because we're constantly growing and constantly changing. Some might be more stagnant than others, and I think if either of us became that way, I don't know if we would continue to be an energetic fit, but we're both committed to growth, committed to personal development, and committed to seeing each other, hearing each other, learning and growing and expanding as individuals and as a couple. And that's really what we wanted to come on and talk about today, because there are very important tools and skills to navigate conflicts. There's very important things to learn about how to really do the internal work to operate in higher energetic frequencies where we can see the opportunity in every situation. And I love that we're able to see the opportunity from today.
Aww. Isn't he so amazing? That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm just like, I have the most incredible husband I could have ever asked for. And just like Zach said, it's like, everything's a blessing. Everything's an opportunity. So us having a miscommunication this morning, it turned into a beautiful, gorgeous opportunity.
Yeah.
And because we've changed so much, it can be easy for me to project a past version of Zach that no longer exists onto the present version of him. Meaning, like, I could see, is Zach being his selfish self again? And then get angry when really that's not what's happening. There's misunderstandings. And that's something we've learned recently too, is if either of us are feeling triggered or hurt or upset by the other, there's usually some kind of misunderstanding where we're not seeing, one of us or both of us are not seeing the situation clearly. And I'm amazed at how easy it is for stuff like that to happen. And because Zach and I were such polar opposites in so many ways, like he was saying earlier, like, I mean, he has a really powerful voice, like a booming voice. I'm more like, my voice is a little more soft and quiet.
I'm more intense, he's more passive.
And I'm really intense in different ways.
That's true.
So I wouldn't say that.
Oh, sorry.
But
you're more soft and gentle and calm and collected, where I'm more likely to get loud and
and so I'm, my astrology, I'm a double Cancer. I'm Cancer moon, Cancer sun, and so like the loudness and just my family's upbringing, like I can think he's mad at me when he's just talking and being excited. My body can perceive that as anger.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, actually, no, it's not. But if I respond defensively, we've had lots of little situations in the past where there have been spirals out of like, where it's just like things could be calm, but it just like a little spark just dropped on some gasoline, and it's like, woo!
And in the past, that would escalate into just, distance. And, space is healthy, but it would result in us just really repelling each other and not wanting to spend as much time together.
Yeah.
And
so now, like, as I'm sitting here and I'm hearing Zach talk about his experience, like, I'm just feeling so much love and gratitude for how conscious he is, for how amazing of a husband he is. It's like heaven on earth. Like, I'm like, this is a heaven on earth experience for me just talking about this right now.
It is.
Yeah.
And what we want to share with you all watching is that we're not special. We're not different in that we just have some sort of gene or some sort of gift that others don't have. It's all learned behavior, and we've had to really be willing to look at ourselves and face ourselves. We've come so far as individuals, and that's why we've come so far as a couple. We broke out of the dependency, the Andrew's needing to be needed and me needing him to support me and take care of me. We've really been able to just really take responsibility for our energy, which is something that we've learned to do. And this is at the core of what we teach our clients in Gay Man Thriving. In our energetic attraction coaching program, we really focus on helping you release the fears and the doubts and the insecurities that drive this behavior. Because when you're getting upset or you're feeling stressed or you're feeling nervous or self-conscious, there's some sort of button, there's some sort of trigger that's being activated. And while it's so easy for us to just try to kind of push it away or run away or cope and numb and avoid situations, in this work we really help you run towards the flames and get to the core of the disconnect, really get to the core of the past programming and the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment, the fear of trusting others, that are all coming from core wounds and traumas that you've experienced in your life. We really help you get underneath this and understand how to release it so that you can start feeling more peace and more calm and more spacious and more neutral in these situations that would before or otherwise really trigger the fuck out of you. And from that place, we help you build a level of security in yourself that's authentic, and it's built on a solid foundation. I know so many gay men that walk around feeling confident in a lot of areas of their lives, but especially when it comes to dating and relationships, it's just a whole nother story where they're so much more likely to feel triggered or anxious or overwhelmed or nervous or just a whole wider range of emotions. But it's not just emotions coming out of nowhere, it's coming from all the past programming, from all the experiences that you've had that shape the way you see the world and see other people. But when we learn how to really take responsibility for our energy, release the negative energy blocks, and build that level of confidence and trust and security in ourselves, that's when we have a solid foundation that we can really start building upon. And that's at the core of the work we do in energetic attraction coaching. And really from there, learning communication skills to be able to navigate conflicts, to express wants, needs, and desires, to have a smoking hot love life where you're really feeling confident, communicating what you want instead of what you don't want, for example. But it's a really beautiful process, and I'm so excited that we're relaunching this flagship program that we created together 7 years ago. The cool thing is we've both come so far since creating this program when we were still navigating a lot of these conflicts ourselves. We knew how to teach this and we helped lots of people, but we weren't fully embodying this work. And so we're re-releasing this material and recreating a lot of it to really help you as a gay man wanting to make improvements in your love life, especially. Really be able to get to where you want to be so that you can feel whole and solid and complete, so that you can really navigate the gay dating landscape that is just full of landmines, full of triggers, especially when it comes to like online dating, but really be able to navigate that without being affected by all the people who are looking for something different, without taking it personal if someone's not picking up what you're putting down, because not everybody will. But instead really help you hold a higher energetic frequency no matter what's going on around you, so that you can keep your eye on the prize, align with your core values, your true desires, and create that thriving love life that you deserve and that you desire. And I'm so happy that we're going to be launching this in the new year in 2025, and we just had our first enrollment yesterday, and I'm so excited that this is just something new that we're doing. It's a 3-month group program. It's more affordable and more accessible than the one-on-one work that I do. And anything else you'd like to add about that? Some of the people we've worked with in the past, or anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a super effective program, curriculum. Like, you do the work, and it's like you go through the processes. You consciously make an effort to show up in a more self-loving place. Like, the results happen, and we've seen it time and time again. I put so much heart and mind energy in when we were creating this the first time. Like, I took all of the research I had done around energy, physics, like metaphysics, relationships, like all this stuff. And like Zach said, we didn't have, well, we had a certain level of mastery when we were first creating this.
We had
and
the
so
knowledge, and we put together something remarkable. We really worked together to create like an incredible system and really incredible tools and things. But yeah, now that we're really embodying it, we're able to speak to it from a different perspective.
And I'll say we're both at a much higher level of mastery than we've ever been in. And so anytime you receive any kind of experience from us, you're getting so much experience, so much mastery that's there to look at you and your situation, whether it's one-on-one or in a group. And it's like you're giving yourself a shortcut, to be honest. Because if you think about where you've been, how long it's taken you to get to where you are now, and if you think about where you want to go, it's like, do you want to be figuring it out on your own? Do you want like a super direct path where you can take out the guesswork and know that all the time and energy you're putting forth into your dating, your relationships, is giving you a really great return of investment? I think it's a really great opportunity for you to join the energetic attraction coaching program, or to see if one-on-one services might also be for you.
Yeah. And so I hope this was helpful for you. Andrew and I plan to continue doing these Facebook Lives, these YouTube Lives, and just sharing more behind the scenes, because now that we're embodying what we teach so much more, it's just really beautiful to come on and communicate and share our experiences. I think it's so important that you don't see us as some sort of polished, perfect couple, because we're not. We're human, and we're all going to experience an array of energetic frequencies every day, but the key is we've learned how to not linger in these low vibrational frequencies. I could tell when Andrew sent that first message that he removed, there was some blame, and there was some anger, and there was some victim energy where he was feeling affected by me, but I could see that he owned it really quickly, removed his message, and then sent others that were coming from a more empowered place of communicating to me as his partner, what he prefers and what he would request and what he desires and how he's feeling. And it's this level of communication that helps relationships thrive. It's what fosters closeness. So many people think that we have to just say the right things and be who the other person wants us to be. And what happens as a result of this, and this comes from past programming as a kid, realizing you're different, trying to fit in. But when we're putting on a show, we're over giving, performing, people pleasing, walking on eggshells, we're unknowingly creating more and more and more distance in our relationships. And this is what really causes couples to grow apart and feel like they need to open up the relationship to experience more intimacy and more closeness, or part ways. But the reality is, and I'm not saying everybody's meant for everybody, and I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to be in a relationship, but when you learn how to use these tools, when you learn how to master your unique core energy, you get the keys to the kingdom. You're able to, instead of letting yourself be affected by other people and feel like a victim, or feel angry and blaming others and feeling guarded and closed off, or settling for situations that don't serve you, or falling into caregiver energy and people pleasing and self-sacrificing, you're able to see opportunities in every situation. You're able to feel whole and solid and complete as an individual, knowing that if you're not being treated well in a relationship, then that's probably not the best fit for you. Knowing that you always get to decide how you feel in every moment, because you get to question your thoughts and beliefs that might be triggering an undesired emotion. You get to learn how to emotionally self-regulate, how to communicate so effectively and so beautifully. We've worked in so many different modalities with so many different coaches and trainers and mentors and programs, and we've taken the best of what we've learned and what we put into practice in our relationship every day into this program. And we really help you fast track your progress by taking the guesswork out of it, as Andrew said, and really teaching you exactly what to do to break out of these old patterns and in a really short amount of time be able to come out the other side feeling confident, feeling empowered, knowing how to navigate the gay dating scene and meeting incredible guys that you're attracting because you're feeling that security within yourself. And this is what's available to you. If this sounds like something that you would enjoy, I highly recommend filling out. We have a short questionnaire, and you can schedule just a free consultation to just really explore what your pure desires are, where you might be feeling challenged or what struggles you're facing, and how to get from where you are to where you want to be. And so even if you decide not to do this deeper work, this conversation is very powerful and very valuable. This work's not for everybody. It's a luxury, it's a get to. But if you want to stop trying to figure out what's not working, if you feel like you've reached a plateau, if you're on the verge of giving up because you just keep falling into the same patterns again and again and again, the universe isn't going to throw a bone and just save you and rescue you. It's going to be up to you to break out of these energetic patterns that are keeping you on this hamster wheel. And this is what this program is designed to help you do. So if this resonated, comment below, type energy in the comments, send me a direct message, and I would love to just have a conversation and see how I might be able to help, see if energetic attraction coaching is a good fit. Well, that's all that I've got. Anything else you'd like to share, honey?
No, that's it for now.
All right. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.